Never let me down, do you? Thank you so much. Well, we have some wonderful guests here to speak to us today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about both of them. But first of all, I'd like to say welcome to our Ridgewoods group. So glad to see us well represented in the community. So thank you, and hope you're enjoying the International Baccalaureate program. It's a good one. Let's talk a little bit about our speakers now. Tom Stites is our speaker. He has lived in Macomb for 67 years. Didn't ask him where he lived before that because I don't want to know how old he actually is. When Tom was 7 years old, he said to himself that he was going to be a pharmacist. His father, Jack, was a pharmacist, but never pushed Tom to follow him. Following his dream, he graduated from Drake University. Hold on. Nobody's cheering for that right now, are you? In Des Moines in 1973 with a Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy. He worked for almost 30 years running Jack Stites Pharmacy with his father. During that time, Tom and his father had two pharmacies, a medical supply business, and ran a long-term care pharmacy in Macomb. Jack Stites Pharmacies almost completed 50 years of business, but sold to Hy-Vee in 2000. Good move. Nice job. Tom was a practicing pharmacist for 46 years, retired 5 years ago to take on several other volunteer positions in organizations, including Rotary. He has been a Rotarian for 18 years, served as president of the Rotary Club of Macomb in 21 and 22. You know what year that was, don't you? That was a tough one. And he started as District Rotary Foundation Chair in July of 23. The District Foundation Chair takes up a lot of his time. He also serves as secretary of his club. His Rotary legacy is being a Paul Harris Fellow +7, a Paul Harris Society member, a Polio Plus Society member, a Bequest Society member, and a Rotary benefactor. One of his most coveted awards was the Rotary Club Citation Award he received for completing all 13 goals that he had set for his year as president in his 13. That seems like a lot, right, Matt? So I think they told me to try to set one. He and his wife, Ann, have one daughter, Dana, and two grandchildren. They're all members of the Rotary Club of Macomb. He's glad to come to the Peoria-North Rotary Club and show members why it's so important to give to the Rotary Foundation. Without the support of district Rotary clubs and members, we could not do good things in this world. And we have a second speaker today who is no stranger to this club. Martha Herm has been a Rotarian for over 30 years, serving as president of the Rotary Club of Peoria, assistant governor, and now a member of the Foundation Annual Fund Campaign Committee for the district. So she got very involved, just like you were talking about, Doug. She is retired from the Center for Prevention of Abuse, where she served as the executive director for 26 years. And did you ride out on the motorcycle today, or were you in the car? No. Okay, I just kind of wondered. I didn't know. You usually show up on the back of a bike. But anyway, let's welcome them up to the podium.
Well, very good to be here. I've got my 9th or 10th foundation since I started in 2023. I'll say this is one of the nicest ones and probably one of the bigger ones I've been to, of course. When I went to district training this last Saturday, I had 2 programs I presented with other representatives, but the last one was how to do a speech. One thing, you got to have a hook. So my hook is go Bulldogs, right? No, that's not a good hook. Anyway, I'll let Martha follow me just a minute. I've got a thing that I found and heard once before. It's a Rotary opening statement, the base of what Rotary Foundation is built from. It comes from a Rotarian from Redondo Beach Rotary Club in California. It goes, why do we give thanks for the opportunity to be Rotarians? We dig wells from which we will never drink water from. We vaccinate children we will never meet. We build housing we will never live in. We educate children we will never know. We plant trees we will never sit under. And we feed hungry people, regardless of race or politics. But we know real happiness, which only can be found by helping others. For these opportunities, we give thanks. Now, these could be changed. These words could be changed. In fact, you could take them all out. But if we have, as Rotarians, were never on the earth, these things would never have happened. So I think that's very good. Push to the right or left?
To the right.
Right? Okay. And it's not going.
You try now.
Okay. I don't went too far, I think. One more time. Yeah, one more time. I don't want to introduce. Yes, we're going to introduce Martha. That's right. I remember I just practiced this, but Martha's going to talk to you now.
Oh, it is. I see it. Okay. Well, it's great to be here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's the right one. For those of you who are new, the reference to the motorcycle was from my husband, Tom McIntyre, who also is a Rotarian, but had to come along, you know. And he used to be quite the biker, but when we got married 13 years ago, I kind of said, I'm not going to get on a bike because my brother is a ER doc, retired now, and he said, when I was dating Tom, do not get on a motorcycle because I have seen so many accidents. And I always thought I'd be a splat on the highway. And Tom might be a splat on the highway, so he no longer bikes.
Correction, you didn't say it wasn't kind of. You flatly said you weren't going to get on the back.
That's absolutely true. I was not going to get on the back.
Okay.
Anyway, so it is really great to be here. Thank you for having us. As you all know from your banner in front here, the Rotary theme this year is the magic of Rotary. Well, for me, the magic of Rotary is really twofold. One, that Rotary is all about making connections, and you can see the slide over there. We all connect. And I have so many friends, including many of you in this room, who would not have been my friend had I not been in Rotary. The second part of the magic of Rotary is that 99% of all those connections that we make are made by volunteers. We're the volunteers. And we volunteer our time, our talent, and our treasure to make the club work. And we also volunteer together to make our community, better places to live. And congratulations on everything you did for human trafficking. That was great. Now, an additional special magic for me and hundreds of thousands of other Rotarians is that I can connect with the larger world beyond Peoria through the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation is known for being able to connect members' money and dollars and magically do a lot for very little because so many projects also use members' volunteer time and talent. Now, the donations to the Rotary Foundation usually go into two big buckets. And I had to bring a prop. Okay, here's the buckets that all the money from Rotarians goes into. So half of it, or a little less than half, but 47% goes into the annual fund. And Tom is here to tell us all about that. So I'm not even going to mention that. The other half goes into the Polio Plus Fund and some other health-related issues. Now, there's a couple of other small pots, like disaster relief, like an endowment fund, or supporting the peace centers. So there's lots of pots that the money can go into, but these are the two main pots that you can donate to. So the magic happens too because of the trustworthiness of the Rotary Foundation. And because the Rotary Foundation enlists the help of connections or partnerships with those outside the Rotary family. And I'll give you an example of that. We're this close, as you know, we're this close to eradicating polio virus from the earth. Outside connections with the Gates Foundation, our government, other governments, and UN organizations really strengthen the capacity of the Rotary Foundation to make this dream a reality. However, just so you know, the Rotary Foundation really lost a major connection. Some of you may know, and I hate to get into a little politics here, but the US pulled out of the UN's World Health Organization. Now, the World Health Organization was a major, huge partner to the Rotary Foundation, and sadly got much of the credit for polio eradication, but nevertheless served as a critical partner. A fellow member of mine down in the other Peoria club, did call the Rotary Foundation to find out, now what? Now that the WHO is out, now what's that going to do to all of our efforts for polio? He received a very long letter from the Rotary Foundation, which basically says, while disappointed and now greatly challenged, we'll evolve and keep going. And I have a copy of that letter if anybody would like to read all the details, but that's basically what it said. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep at it. And it also happens to mention a failed partnership between the Rotary Foundation and USAID. But the lesson here is that the magic of Rotary is that the Rotary Foundation doesn't give up. It evolves and has evolved over the years and forms new connections to get the job done. So the point is, we can trust that our donations will be used for the purpose they were intended. So Tom and I are here today to show you what a good investment the Rotary Foundation is and the magic it creates. So time to turn it over to Tom.
We have an annual fund committee, which we have heard for like the northwest portion, I'm not northeast, central, south. And then Kevin Dwally down in Highland is our southern representative. We go out to do these programs. Thank you, Martha, for doing that. Well, she did kind of the overview. I'm going to kind of give you the nuts and bolts here. As soon as it goes. Yeah. I don't know. Aim at that, right? I just want to kind of give a history of the foundation, how it started. Our organization started in 1905. By 1917, we had an international group. One Canadian club had started, so it became international. Arch Kumpf, whose picture is there, in 1917, he was outgoing. He said, we need to do something. So he started the endowment for the purpose of doing good in the world. And that one idea, plus the first donation of $26.50, started in motion a powerful force that transformed our organization, millions of lives, and also. Well, I'm going to take your dollar, let's make hopefully it's more than that, and just break it down. Martha kind of covered that. It is the World Fund that gets 57.5 cents. Polio Plus definitely comes out of that. The share, we get 47.5. Last year it was 52 and 47. So we're getting an extra half cent there. So, 53, excuse me, 53 and 50, 47. But a half cent over a couple $100,000 makes a difference. One thing you can always be assured, 100%, virtually 100% of all the money you give goes to Rotary projects. World Fund is administered by the trustees of International. And it does have unrestricted usage. They could do it where it's mostly needed. The last several years, disaster response has been very important for Florida, North Carolina, the fires in California. Also, we had a tornado. I remember this happening. I was singing in the university. A tornado was called. We had to go downstairs, and a tornado hit Washington, Illinois. And that was a disaster response too, even back then. So the main portion of those donations that go to World Fund are for global grants. We do, again, give a lot of money to Polio Plus too. That is, as a Rotarian, that's what you should concentrate on, is annual fund and also Polio Plus. The global grants that I have had come through, last year I think we had 2, this year we have 12 clubs in And some of them are going back a few years, but we have 12 going right now. They're so highly scrutinized. You have to have sustainability, put a well in a village, it breaks down in 2 years. Nobody got taught how to repair it or get it going again. Or also, even the community has to show that they have a need for that. If those don't fit, they're not going to be approved. Also, they have to go with some area of focus just to, that again, open and go. Just those, there's the 7 areas of focus if you're not familiar with them. The last one on the end is environment. That was just added like 5 or 6 years ago. And I always say this, hope it's not too late. The annual fund share now is the portion that our district gets back. 47.5 cents of your dollar comes back. And we use that for our district club grants, which I'll go over a little bit. We do give it to Polio Plus. Our district global grants, and really this is kind of our, we call it designated district funds. And we have quite a bit, those carried over every year, but they're changing that now that we're gonna have to get all that spent by 2026, the end of 2026. So, and then scholarships were mentioned. Two of the best days of my life is when I write, let's go back one.
Sorry.
Go back one more. Go back to that blue one. Yeah, the scholarships. When I write the checks for the district grants, I send out 20 last year. It's so great because I know I'm doing good for communities right here in our district. The same goes with our scholarships. Those students are district students who are going to college. That's disaster response also. And then there are other areas too that we can choose. Okay. Last year, this year's not over yet, so we don't know what the amount is going to be yet, but this one was raised for the annual fund giving was $192,963. That was our clubs and our members giving to that. Again, 47.5 cents of that will come back to us in 3 years. They take that money, put it in a fund to grow, and in 3 years. So 2026, 27, we'll have that amount to get. The annual fund share that came back to us last year from 2020, 21 was 91,000. That is just a portion of that 109. Well, it was 181, I think, last year. Get about 50% of that for our projects. Okay, Jeff. Now, total giving, that is including annual fund plus all the Polio Plus. Our district last year gave $83,815. The year before that, we were 81,000, and we were second in our zone. Our district was. Didn't really tell us this year if we were how high we ranked, but we had to be in the top 5 for sure. Our district also, when you go to International Assembly, our designated district governor has to pledge at least 20%. That's what we gave to Polio Plus, 22. So actually the total with the 2-to-1 match was over $300,000 that we gave to Polio Plus. So that's a lot of money. So going into polio. Next. One thing about it being a Rotarian, how many have a My Rotary account that you can go into? Such a good way to be able to look at things. Plus, this big blue button says donate. You don't have to write a check. You don't have to give it to the foundation chair or your treasurer. But you have all these areas that you could donate to. We hope the number one you would give to would be the annual fund share. Again, that's the money that we get back so we could use it for our projects here, right here. Polio Plus, disaster response, and then the one of the you can give just to one area of focus if you want to. You want to give it to the environment, can. But the other one is the global grants. We have 12 of them going right now. So if you get to My Rotary account, look at the grants that are available, and you see somebody you know that's or a club that's doing it, you can give some money to that. So you've got hundreds of places you can donate. So, well, the designated fund. I'm going to get into the district grants a little bit further here, because that is an important thing. Do good in the world, of course. Do good right here in our old district. And district grants, very top, we gave $40,000 last year for district grants. We have district grants available for application right now. We're on our district website, 6460 website. They're not hard to do. I've done 4 of them, I think, in the last 3 or 4 years. It took me about 30 minutes to do. There are some criteria you have to follow, but we have $2,000 for a project that you want. If you want to add more to it from your club to make it a bigger project, but we could really help get started with that. Do plan early. August 15th is a deadline for that to get those applied for. So we really want to see if we get, this last year we only had 16, which was probably one of the lowest. I put out several responses to asking for that, but we had less, we gave $2,500. We try to usually do $2,000, but you'd do the 244 Polio Plus. Local grants, 13,000. One that's listed the 2 there. The very top one, the kidney transplant clinic in Mexico. We had 2 representatives just returned like 2 weeks ago. District Governor Dan O'Brien and our past district governor, Steve Hopper, who is also a club member of Macomb. They went down and saw what our money that we give is doing, and it's amazing. I did miss Steve's. He gave a program on it last week. I was in Florida, so I didn't get to see it, but he's just really passionate about that. The other one was a India cataract precision equipment. Did give them $12,000 of scholarships, and then also gave $5,000 in disaster response. So all those total, that's why we need you to give some money. Just the district grants, we had 20 last year. So we have, I think last year, this year too, we also had 2 building beds for youth for sleeping heavily piece, they call it. Pollinator gardens are kind of popular. We had one that, or 2 of them actually had lockers and a closet that had clothing, food, and then hygiene products in it. So a kid would come to school with a torn shirt, something down the front of it, he or she could get a new blouse or new shirt. So, okay, what is that? That is a perfect lie. I think if you play golf, I think I could even get the ball off the ground with that type of lie. Well, is Peoria-North a perfect club? Everybody gave $1 million. Yes. No club is going to be perfect, but we're going to see where possibly we can get some things out of you. This is a graph called the fundraising analysis, kind of busy, but the graph there's a brown line that comes up and goes down. That is what your goals are set. As a president or president-elect, or what you can do this. In fact, I got my president-elect, immediate past, and president. We went through those when I was president. Well, you noticed you're up 20, whatever that is. Your goal was 39,000, right? Like that. Well, you didn't make it, but that's okay. No problem with that. But another thing well, 2 things that does. It gives you a goal to say, hey, we can raise this money for our annual fund, but also for our district, that's the only way we know how much we're going to hopefully get. Everybody had 0, never put any goals in. We have no idea if we're even coming close to what we're wanting or what last year in that. So if you can, make sure you have a goal in that for that. The chart there, I can't see. 21, no, go back.
Sorry.
I gotta go through these charts here. 2021 was your highest, and then 2021, 22, and your annual fund was the highest. Those are all blue, the highest ones you have. Doing great, that's a great amount of money to raise for that. Total contributions, that includes all your Polio Plus and that. The per capita is one thing that's very well watched, and it's something the district really, we pride ourselves if we can get an increase. You're $1 ahead of that's kind of my benchmark, what I say for clubs. If you could beat the district amount, that's great. So you beat it by $1. Membership totally is problem district-wide. The last chart down there, EREY, that stands for every Rotarian every year. Get back to my mic here. And that's just $25, every member contributing $25. Peoria last year got 100% of their members as EREY. The second one is the sustaining members, that's $100. And then the last one is PHS, which is Paul Harris Society. I have the little chevron here that shows I pledge, I give $1,000 to the annual fund every year. That's a pledge. It's not, you don't have to, but you should, of course, as a Rotarian. You have 13 members right now that are PHS eligible. So that means you could, it's just a form you fill out and say, I'm going to do that. That would really help us too. So, okay, now. This is a comparison. I had three other clubs there, nearly the same size. Galesburg, Jacksonville, and then of course Peoria. If you notice your very top one there, Peoria-North, under annual fund, you're behind a little bit. So that's one area that we could definitely have more. If everybody gave $25, you could get $2,625 just there. So per capita will go up when you have that. So that will equal out those two. You had a great Polio Plus, though. You beat them out all. So we got great Polio Plus. So we keep that going too. So one other area is the very second from last is the EREY. We have 20% of your club giving as just $25. So some areas to work on. Okay. What can the Rotary Club do for the foundation? I've got another chart here. I'm supposed to have blue lines, and they're not there, but the one area, of course, is the donations to annual fund at $12,739 for the size of your club. Definitely, we could get that up to 13, 15,000. That'd be great. Polio Plus, can't do much better than that. The other is the very last one with just 20% of your members giving at least something to the Rotary Foundation. So I'm not asking for everything, but those are things you could see. So, all right. Well, vision statement, I think is one of the best vision statements. Who wrote it? Probably a group of people, but together as us here, as people, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Very, very dynamic. So, thank you. I am a proud donor. Martha is a proud donor. We're both every Rotarian every year. We just ask that you think about that and just concentrate on just giving something to the foundation, whatever you can. And you can make a difference in the world and your community. Rotary is a fantastic organization, and every dollar you contribute helps the magic of Rotary. So that's our thing. Questions on anything we have? Yes. Hi, Doug.
I'm gonna get a microphone and if anybody have questions, but
Here.
There you go, Craig.
I got it.
You got it.
Tom, can you share, is there a really simple way on my Rotary that I can set it and forget it so that it comes out monthly or quarterly or annually?
I should have mentioned that. Yes, under the donate, you have areas where you can donate right there. They have a recurring monthly. You give $10 a month, which would be $120 a year. You can do it. I think $10 is probably the smallest, but you can do it quarterly. You do $25 every quarter. That's $100. Or of course, you can do a yearly thing. You like to write just one big thing. So now you don't have to worry about sending checks. You don't have to give it to your treasurer. You don't have to do it through your foundation share. And mine goes out, and forget it virtually, but get that up there so you can see. And it's just so simple, and they really, of course, want people because then you're donating without having to do much work, and it just makes it simpler for everybody to do it that way. So I give both to the annual fund and to Polio Plus. So, and there's a Polio Plus Society. I have the Paul Harris Society. This one is just $100. Polio Plus Society, $100 to give to Rotary a year. It's cumulative. You don't have to do it dollars all the time, just, again, $10 a month or whatever you'd like to do. There's a donate button, big blue one. And with my Rotary also, you can look at your other members, you can look at your clubs, and get into a lot of things that kind of interesting to see. So, and you also kind of get an idea what your donating history is. So, internet's slow. Well,
While we're waiting on it, I have a
yes,
question.
okay.
Can you explain, if someone is a Paul Harris Fellow, if they
Yes.
give that for a year, which I think a lot of our club members hear us talk about and are participating, what bucket does that go into? And also, does that count for the every Rotarian every year?
Well, it does if you put it in the annual fund. Now, Paul Harris has points that you get every time you donate. You get the points, and those you can use to get your Paul Harris, which again is a whole other thing. As a Paul Harris fellow, you can give it to your wife or give it to somebody in the community if you want to. We're having ours in April. We're going to have 7 Paul Harris fellows named there. So, but every Rotarian every year has to be to the annual fund. That's how it's recorded. So it's the one that probably should concentrate on most if you can. If you're Polio Plus, that's definite too. So, but it doesn't go towards your every Rotarian. One thing about Paul Harris too, it's not $1,000 you have to, it's cumulative. So you give $100 a year in 10 years, it's $1,000, and you have your Paul Harris. So it's not, you have to give it all at once too. So.
I just want to clarify your question that you can give to any part of the Rotary Foundation and it counts toward your Paul Harris, whether it's polio, annual fund, disaster response. But I do have to say any donation to the disaster response does not count for every Rotarian every year, but it does for Paul Harris.
Polio Plus does not either.
Yeah.
Polio Plus does not go to what's that? $25 to the annual fund. So, yes.
My question is, if we have an international project that our club isn't seeking, can we come to you or to other clubs in order to implement it?
Well, it has to be, of course, written out, and then you send it to somebody up there in Evanston. We have a regional grant officer up there, Cecilia Walter. She is very good at helping getting things started. I can show you where to go, but writing it, I'm not versed on that. I do district grants because kind of putting those together, but global grants are kind of a whole other aspect because there's a lot of things you have to go through. I also have an international partner too. So we have one in Springfield that's being formed just for our area. It's an international, so he has to find somebody over there. The international will help too. But all the districts get kind of things that they'll say, hey, we need money, so we vote on it, and maybe give them money to a district grant, especially the ones that are being done in our own district. We want to help support those. So.
It looks like Jeffrey has us up on the screen to show you how simple this is.
And $25, unfortunately, is what they have as the minimum. But I did some at $10. I know that. So,
To follow up on Julia's question, so our club is in the process of applying for have received money from the district. To be honest, I can't remember what fund it's from. But just some feedback for you all that maybe you can pass along. This process is extremely difficult. It is not intuitive. And we've received some wonderful feedback from various folks at the district level and our international partner, as well as from RI. But sometimes the feedback is conflicting, and we have to go back and redo stuff. So it's been very interesting to me, and it would be wonderful if Rotary International could try to simplify this. I understand some of why it's so complicated, and once you get a global grant approved, it is rock solid. But
It's a process.
not every club has the resources that we do. So I wonder how many people are deterred from doing it. But thank you to the district for the support.
There is a cadre of people that will help clubs like that too. They'll go and take the grant and see if it's all formed. And we had one came back at 3 pages of corrections and additions they needed. So, wow, you know, we have to go through a lot of scrutiny on that, so. All right, well, thank you.
Let's give it a round of applause time.